Hello everybody out there, this is Seto Kaiba from your Yu-Gi-Oh! Chat channel, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about something I was recently thinking about. How much has the extra deck, your extra deck where you keep all your fusions, your synchros, and your Xyz monsters now, how much that has gone up in price, just that extra deck. There are decks out there in this meta, for example, E-Dragons. Your main deck costs you less than your extra deck. What is it? Dragosac's running like $1.50, $150. Big Eyes like a $75, $80 card, something like that. So that is almost about like a $400 extra deck. Your main deck doesn't cost that much. You know, the extra deck has become so important in the game nowadays compared to what it was originally in Yu-Gi-Oh! Think about it. When Yu-Gi-Oh! First came out, it was beatdown decks that ruled. Then you had Chaos Drag, monsters. And then you had like Scapegoat. And then Scapegoat format, you had Thousand Eyes Restrict. That was pretty much the only card of note out there for fusion monsters, besides maybe Black Skull Dragon and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. There was not that many super amazing fusion monsters. There were some decent ones, but those were the three main ones of note, especially Thousand Eyes Restrict. But once he got banned, people went back to not using an extra deck really. There was no instant fusion. There was no really good heroes and everything. Then GX came along and really took fusions to a different level. But people think that when they think of GX, they think of hero monsters, great fusions. That wasn't the case when heroes first came out, you have to remember. They sucked. I love heroes, but they sucked. They were not that good. It was pretty much the decks that ruled between that transition era were Cyber Dragons and some Crystal Beasts, and I think actually Ancient Gear Golems, which didn't even run an extra deck. It was Cyber Dragons. They had the best fusions out there for a pretty long time until Heroes got some good things like Absolute Zero, all this stuff. You could play with the hero deck, but you're not going to win that many duels until they got good things like Stratos and stuff like that. Then Synchros came along, and that's when I think the extra deck really went up in price. Things like Stardust, things like Black Rose, things like Scrap Dragon, other good synchro monsters. That is when, like Mistworm even, if you want to go with Mistworm. There's a long list of good synchro monsters you remember from back in the day, like X-Sabers, Blackwings, stuff like that, for example. That is when I think the extra deck really became sort of expensive. And I think when XYZs came out, Exceeds came out, that really is what Konami has based the extra deck. They're going to make their money, it seems like, off the extra deck. The main deck, okay. I mean, that's going to I just find it amazing nowadays that the main deck, which used to be, that's what you're playing with, that's why it's called your main deck, that is a lot of the time less expensive than your extra deck. Okay, you got Gaga Cowboy at what, like $20, $25, $15. You have Diamond Direwolf. You got Big Eye. You got all these Black Ship of Corn. All these cards that run somewhere between 15 to 25 to 30 to all the way up to Big Eye and Dragosac that are running way expensive. It's become so much part of the game. Little monsters have become so much, bigger. You exceed for a 16/16, level 2 low level monsters, you get a Leviathan Dragon at 25. It's just become, the extra deck has just become so much more expensive and so much more important in the game than it was in the inception of Yu-Gi-Oh! It really has. It was like a power creep, I guess you could say. Nothing, okay, there's, Thousand Eyes Restrict, then it goes up, Synchros, and then out the window when XYZ's coming in. Probably whatever new type of card they make next for Yu-Gi-Oh! If Yu-Gi-Oh! They continue to make Yu-Gi-Oh! It's probably going to be just as expensive as it was right now, I would assume. But the good thing is they make reprints of these cards most of the time, so they're easier to get a hold of than paying all this money for them. But if you come late in the game, like if you're new to Yu-Gi-Oh, it's becomes an expensive game right away. I mean, I've seen players get into that. They'll get in the game. Like I've seen a couple players at my locals. They're new to the game, but they don't know what the heck. Well, they've been out of the game for like 5 years or 6 years since they were little, and they're like, "Oh, I want to play again." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's become a lot more expensive." And that's just to play a decent deck. But then again, there's people that still play Blackwings I know of, and they're fun decks out there. There's no bad things in that. That's awesome. But I'm just saying, competitively, leisurely, whatever you want to call it, it's just become more of an expensive thing, no matter what. Because your boss monster. Look at Phantom Beasts. Their boss monster right now is expensive. That's why nobody's gonna run Phantom Beasts. But what's your take on this? Do you think this is true, that the extra deck has become more expensive over the years and has become more important to the game? It's become kind of like a toolbox type thing too now. Even you're starting to see. You got Black Sugar Coin to pop. You got Zen Mines to defend. You got all these different things, exceeds that you're pretty much doing because you're either trying to get over your opponent, it's big monsters, or you're just doing it to it's become a toolbox type thing. But what do you think it's become more expensive and more important in the game? I wanted to ask you. Do you think these things are true? But till next time, everybody, have fun out there, take care, and good luck dueling to y'all. Seto Kaiba, out.